Welcome to Advocacy with Ali. Today we will be having a discussion with respect to patents, particularly how the patents are important, what are their jurisdictions, and how patents can be complained, and what are the authorities where a person can complain about the patents.
I'm basically Isha Sharma, and I run a company, you can say the firm, which is named as Trayambak. Now, Trayambak is dedicatedly working into intellectual property rights and services and registration, and the post litigation is handled by another firm, which I'm part of as a partner. Now, what we do in Trayambak is basically helping, you can say, the startups or innovators to get the patent application and the process part of it where they ideate. So from ideation to the implementation, whatever services or whatever documentation is required, we help them, starting with the, you can say, patent searches where the analytics is involved to be able to find out whether you can file for a patent application or what are the recent trends in this particular domain or in this particular environment. Proceeding with that filing of a patent application, so the drafting needs, you can say, a bit of a techno-legal domain from your side, because you have to write whatever is being created into that document, and that document will act as a invention for your innovation. Because what you cannot do is you cannot submit a prototype into the patent office. So whatever you're going to write in the patent document is what is considered as an innovation. Post that, we help in the prosecution part of it, which is basically handling any kind of objections that are being placed by the examiners, that if in case they feel that it is not patentable, or probably any other form of objection that comes into the picture. And later on, you can say post grant proceedings also, we take care of the entire patent process. This is what we do in REL.
All right. So whenever there is a invention, only then the
Right.
question of patents will come, right? So with
Right.
respect to this, we have some questions from the audience which we have recorded very earlier. And one of those questions is why patents are important.
Mhm. Right. So, patent application, you can consider it as a form of IP. IP is intellectual property rights, and that is creation of something by application of your mind. So, whatever you're going to create can be protected by different forms of IP. So, the importance of patent application is that if you are spending, say, your resources, your energy, your intellect into something, then protecting it from being infringed by somebody else is what the patent application is for. So it is not basically for you to use it. You anyway created it, so you can use it. So it is an exclusive right, which basically means to exclude others from using the same kind of innovation that you have created. So to claim that you are the creator, you are the innovator, and only you are authorized to use it. That's why the patent registration comes into picture. Because once it is being granted by the patent office to you, it is an exclusive right given certain conditions. Of course, according to certain countries, there are certain conditions imposed by the government, that based on these conditions only the patent application is being granted to you. But still, somehow, to a greater extent, it is an exclusive right. Then, in certain, you can say, industries, like for example, startups are there, right?
Innovation is important, and when it comes to registration of patents, where a particular individual has to approach to which authority he or she has to go, whether the offices are located in India or is there a online process itself?
Right. So we have five trademark offices and four patent offices, where most of the patent and trademark offices are authorized to accept your application. Now, the application filing can be done by both means. It can be done by physical means and it can be done by online means. So if you want to file for a patent application in India, you can go to IP Indian website. In IP Indian website, you need to have a digital signature to be able to proceed with the filing part of it. So it is very self-explanatory what kind of forms are required. You need to fill those forms, write your application, and submit it into the IP Indian website. Once you submit it, you will get a application number and it is being filed. If you don't want to opt for an online means, then you can, of course, go to a physical patent office and file your application. Now, filing is also dependent on, you can say, the jurisdiction where you are placed. So if you are based in probably Bangalore and you want to file an application, if your residence or your business is in Bangalore itself, then your application needs to be filed in Chennai office. So by both the means, by either going it to the concerned office and filing the application can also happen, or even you can do it on online medium. Both are there.
Okay. So in what are the circumstances where one person can understand that his patent is being misused or infringed by any other person? How it is going to be recognized?
Right. Once you get a patent application registered from the patent office and you get the application number, now it is your responsibility to find out whosoever is infringing the patent application. So the due diligence part is basically on the owner. Because unless you identify, so this patent application document which is given to you is given by the government to you to authorize that you are the only owner or exclusive holder of this patent invention that you have created. Now, to implement it, you have to find out that who are the potential infringers. Say, for example, iPhone and Samsung battle was going on for a very long time, or any, you can say, technology related. So there are a lot of cases which are pending in pharma domain. There are a lot of cases which are pending in automobile domain. Any two companies, if one company feels that the other company or individual, it need not to be like a company, it can be anybody whosoever is infringing their exclusive rights. They feel that it is being infringed by overlapping the claims. They can start with the procedures or the remedies that are given to a patentee holder.
So are there any particular codes, like we have a civil codes, criminal codes, labor codes, consumer codes, such as? So are there any codes with respect to patents also?
See, patents and intellectual property gives you two types of remedies. So it can also be a civil remedy and it can be a criminal remedy. So based on what kind of case do you want to file, you will go through the civil or criminal procedure. So there is nothing separately for an intellectual property as such. There are certain boards which are like, for example, IPAB board is there, which is primarily for prosecution part of it. So if you have any challenges throughout the registration of the patent application and a little bit of post registration, then you can appeal to IPAB. But for claiming an infringement right, if you want to move in that direction, whether it is being infringed and you want to claim a civil or a criminal remedy, then you have to go by normal civil and criminal procedures. That's how you file the case.
Okay. Is there any landmark judgment in India with respect to these patents, where any remedies granted?
Actually, there are a lot many. And so in one of the pharma domains, there was a very famous case which was about the compulsory licensing. So initially, you can say the cancer drug was considered as something which was not provided on affordable prices. So compulsory licensing says that uh, anything which is not provided on affordable prices and not reaching out to the people, not meeting the need of the people, can so the government can actually provide a compulsory license to some other company. Other company means that not the company who's holding the IP right. So one company is the one who is holding an IP right, and the government is authorizing the other company to actually manufacture the similar kind of drug. So this compulsory licensing was actually initiated. You can say India is very strict in pharma kind of patent applications. So that's one of the, you can say, probably if you want to read for a patent application, you should be reading about compulsory licensing. So that will give you a clear picture. Otherwise, it's a regular kind of a job. Everybody is like,
all right.
If you talk about the litigation suits happening, if it's a technology oriented, everybody is doing it.
There are some situations when in sitting in India, people copy some of the designs which are registered outside India. So they question saying that though the patent is registered in America or Germany or Japan or Dubai, wherever, but we are using that particular design in India. So how it amounts to infringement of patent? Are there any international rulings for that?
See, your IP rights or patent applications are jurisdiction specific. So if you want to claim a right in a particular country, you have to file for a patent application in that particular country, and then only you are authorized for any kind of exclusive right. If you are not claiming your patent application in that particular country, then you no longer have a right into the particular jurisdiction. So if your patent application is only filed in US, it is not granted in India. So a person will not get a patent application in India for the same kind of innovation that is being already done anywhere across the globe. But then the infringement part of it, you will not be able to claim if you haven't filed for a patent application in India. So whenever you're concerned about an innovation, you have to initially proactively see that if you have a chance of going global into that particular technology, then this patent application needs to be filed in those multiple countries, right? So there are international filing mediums by which you can enter. So convention route or patent cooperation treaties, PCT routes are there where you can file for an application and eventually enter into multiple countries. But there is no world patent as such. So getting one patent application in one country will not safeguard you across the globe. So that's what you have to do. You have to list down.
Yeah. Because this question, why I raised is because recently the automobile industry is going to face some challenges with respect to electric vehicles are concerned. And you must have heard about Tesla cars.
Right.
They have got some patents with respect to 5 things which are very, very critical and very crucial in nature. And no other person or no other company can claim that. Though the company is not in India, but still they can claim the patent right, as you have said rightly.
What happens is that there is a time duration being allotted to a patentee, that within this time you have to enter into multiple jurisdictions. So if you are entering by PCT route, roughly tentative timeline is 28 months to 31 months. So within 28 to 31 months, you are authorized to enter into any other country, but you have to enter into that particular country, get a patent application granted in that particular country, then only your infringement right will happen. Right? Then only you get that authority in that particular country. It is not automatically granted to you. But once you file, of course, you have given an indication that eventually this patent application will be granted. So people don't use it.
Like we see on your social media, using YouTube or Facebook or any other social platform for that matter, whenever we use any of the music or any of the designs in our videos, automatically that thing will be caught.
Right. So right now we are talking about patent applications. We're not talking about copyright. These things, what you are saying, is falling under copyright. And copyright is a different. Copyright, you can say that under one convention, you can cover multiple countries in one single application. But then patent rights needs to be filed, like in every single country, you have to file for it.
Right. Because there is quite confusion among the people that copyright, trademark, and patent, they consider as one. That's why, to clarify that, I raised this question.
Right.
And coming to the, yes, there are differences which we will cover in the coming series.
Right.
And there are some questions with respect to the holding of the patents. How long a person can hold a patent? Whether he will have it for a lifetime or there is some specific period of time for that particular patent, and when that will be used in a public domain.
So patent application is not a lifetime right. Patent application can only be granted for 20 years time period. Right? That is basically the utility patent application which we considered across the globe. So 20 years is the maximum time period that you can enjoy over any technology on which a patent application is being granted. There is no provision to extend a patent application. So even the extension is not possible. So once a patent application's time duration of 20 years is gone, post that it goes to public domain. So now going to public domain means that anybody else will be able to use the same kind of innovation that is protected by a patent application, and you no longer have an infringement right on that person. Right? So it was off patent application. Off patent application means that the patent doesn't exist anymore. So it is being given.
So are there any possibilities that the same patent can be used in a public domain and anybody can use that without having any permissions?
Once it goes to the off patent application, then you no longer have a right. So no permission is actually needed. But before going to an off-patent application, or you can say the 20 years time period for which it is being granted, if somebody is using it, they have to seek a license. Suppose that there is no licensing involved because you no longer have a right.
What is the maximum or minimum punishment with respect to monetary concerns are?
See, it's roughly, it starts from 50,000 rupees to 2 lakhs to 3 lakhs rupees, which is like tentatively written into the act itself, that if in case you are repeating offenses, then this will be considered. But the damages, if you're talking about, so this punishment will be in the criminal, you can say, scenario. But then when you're talking about the damages or the profits that are incurred in IP rights, is calculated by the other companies, you can say, the profits and losses. So if I am a small company and somebody, a big company is using my IP rights, so what I will do is I will claim their profits that they have incurred by using my own technology. So that will needs to be calculated on that term, and then a loss will be, you can say the damages will be calculated and the suit will be filed. That's how it works.
So whether a person can be put behind the bars in these infringements, or only the monetary punishments will be?
No, as I said that the IP gives you both the remedies. So it can be a civil remedy or a criminal remedy, depending on what exactly do you seek out of it.
Right.
But usually, most of the cases in IP you will find into civil category, because that's where they just want the damages to be placed, right? Because it's a monetary gain. So that's where most of the civil cases are being filed. But you have a provision of both of them.
So we have come to the conclusion of this show, and we have discussed all the questions which were supposed to be answered by Isha Sharma, and she has very nicely answered all those questions. We will be coming on this show with a series of copyrights, trademarks, and patents, how these things works and what are the procedures and which all acts cover these sections, and how these infringement, how these remedies and how these damages could be claimed by the respective and concerned authorities. We will have a separate show on that, and certainly Isha Sharma will be continuing with our show in the coming episodes. Thank you so much.